I think it's going to be easiest just for me to delete it and put it in again because I can't figure out
That's
how
what
to do
she
it.
said.
Oh my God, Ben, it's true. That is what she said. So I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to. How is it all working? I'm going to take Bose Music. I'm going to delete it. Remove app.
Today
Delete
on the
app.
show,
Gonna go back to the. Oh
Paul and
no,
Ben.
it's. I keep on hitting the wrong things. I keep on
Getting
hitting
real
cancel
with Paul's
and
new
all that kind of stuff
headphones.
instead of. And it's because it was red, I think. So I hope you're doing well, Ben. I'm doing great.
Oh, it's been a week, man. It's been a week.
Oh man, I can't wait to talk to you about it and hear you better than I can hear you right now. So okay, opening up Bose Music. It is once again saying that we need access. Go to next, and I'm gonna hit OK now. I'm gonna say connect a product.
I
I'm gonna do
trust you're not
headphones.
recording yet.
I am totally recording.
You are recording. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because
So everything is great. It's all good.
the people at home listening on the podcast and the people watching the live stream, of which there are none so far, will
Yeah.
be able to listen to this wonderful. Oh, and he's gone. Paul
Wait, did I leave?
has disappeared. I do not see your video. Oh, and you're
Oh
back.
no. So no push notifications. I am here.
I can
And
see
I'm
you.
connecting. And let's see.
Paul Goody.
Oh no! Hey, can you still see me?
I can see you. I can hear you. You got you.
Okay.
You got new headphones for Thanksgiving? Is that how your family celebrates?
Yeah, it's hooking to my phone. It's not hooking to the iPad. And it's my iPad is also here. I'm gonna turn the Bluetooth off on my phone. This is how it's gonna work. I'm gonna turn the Bluetooth off on my phone, and then I'm gonna do this again because Bose is too smart for its own good.
I actually, I'm kind of in your same boat. Not for this whole setup, but I did buy a pair of AirPods, and I use them with my phone primarily. They also get connected to my laptop as well as my Apple TV. And I don't know, and if I want to connect them to, like, they default to my phone. If I want to connect them to my laptop, I have to actually go into system settings and tell it to connect. They're not smart enough to know that my phone is off. I'm not using it, but my laptop is on, and I want to use my AirPods for my laptop.
Hey, Ben,
Paul Goody.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right. So we're back.
Talk about
We're back, baby. It's
Talk
all
about-
working.
talk about
you see me?
their new headphones.
Hey, so that's gonna be a wonderful listening experience to someone for the first 7 minutes.
First 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Hey, so good. These are my Bose headphones. My old headphones broke. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good, good. So yeah, the basic thing is that my old headphones worked seamlessly between my phone and my iPad. The Bose, I'm not sure yet. They have their own app that they use to like control what Bluetooth device you're hooked into, and it's been
Yeah.
great.
Up until
except
now.
Yeah, except that two devices maybe not working. So Ben, you've said it's been a week.
Oh, I don't talk about work. I sometimes talk about work. It's just, this time of year is normally pretty slow for me.
Yeah.
And but not this year. And so on the one hand, I'm happy to have the work. Don't get me wrong. It's the stress of like trying to finish everything is less intrusive, I guess, or less intense than the stress of like wondering how I'm gonna pay rent this month.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm working with one company, and and I just want to say to them, come on, enough is enough.
Because
And
are there changes? They keep on asking for different.
so it's sort of like that, but it's also like the quantity of work they're giving me. It's like, can you finish these two things by end of day? I'm like, well, you gotta pick one or the other, because I can't work on two things simultaneously. And then another, it's just, I'm just super busy. It just feels like I'm being pulled in all sorts of different directions. And
Do you have one contact at the company, or do they have several different people giving you work?
there's I wouldn't say several,
Okay.
but it's not just that company. It's a couple other ones where they all want something immediately, and then they come back and have a whole new set of notes for something and want it immediately, and I'm like, well, pick one. And also it's just technical things. Like I set up a new workstation back there using my laptop as my primary workstation.
Yeah, I remember you talking about switching to that.
And it's just every time, like, I thought I'd been able to shake all the bugs out, but every time I have like a Zoom meeting, something new comes up, and so it's like the webcam I have on it, not the one in the laptop, but like this, a webcam, like this one I'm talking on right here. It will, when I start a meeting, it'll be working, and then it'll just die.
Oh no!
And so I gotta figure out something else, because I think I have too many things plugged into it. I think my laptop is like, whoa, hold up there on your USB, man.
Yeah. Do you have an extension? A USB?
I have a dock. I have a very expensive dock that only has 3 USB. No, it's got 4. It's got 3 USB 3 and 1 USB 2 ports.
Mm-hmm.
But I need many more for the work that I do. And so I have a USB extender plugged into a USB extender plugged in. It's insane.
Right. That's what I was wondering.
I gotta think about how to I mean, I have these 2 RAID enclosures that are like where I archive stuff, and I never have them on at the same time, so I gotta like only one gets plugged in at this, at once, and so that's how I save ports. So it's just
I can only use my microwave or my air fryer. Can't use them both at the same time.
But what if I want?
So I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's just and
it makes it impossible to microwave my air fryer.
Zoom was being stupid. When I signed in today for this, for whatever reason I was signed out. It made me want to sign back in. So I signed back in, and then it's like, you have 2-factor authentication enabled, because it forced me to. And so we're going to send you a code. So they sent me a code. I put it in. It said the code didn't work. And it made me wait a minute before it sent another code. And so, the second code actually did work. But Zoom needs to figure their stuff out. It's just,
I'm still eating the same box of Kix that I ate the last time.
It's the same box. You only eat it on the podcast.
Pretty much, and also when I'm working sometimes, but not always. I have a new thing that do you guys have Fresh Time at all?
No.
It's sort of like Whole Foods, but it's like a Trader Joe's Whole Foods, if that makes sense. It's like less corporate, more like hippie-ish kind of.
But still expensive.
Less expensive also, I would say.
Still at Trader Joe's.
It's like a Trader Joe's with more produce, I guess. But Trader
Yeah.
Joe's has a lot of produce. It's like Trader Joe's, except more
Bigger.
plant-based. Yeah, it is bigger. It is bigger. A little bit bigger.
Bigger parking spots
But anyway,
for Trader Joe's.
I went there and I got this new type of cereal that is vanilla flavored, but it's not actually vanilla flavored. It has a different herb
Vanilla
that they have in some Indian food.
Okay.
And I really want to try it, but it has a long shelf life, so I've told myself that I can't have it until I finish the Kicks. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been
Kicks.
eating the Kicks. Yes. Kid tested, parent approved.
Yeah.
As they say in the Kicks land. So I bought a new cord also for my iPhone because the old one is bad. And I have a bad Ethernet cable that I would show to you, but I'm afraid if I move it, the wires will stop being connected to each other. So I'm leaving it right where it is. But that's going to be the next thing. Because I used to do buy an Ethernet cable, I always want to make my own. So, but my eyesight has been not as good recently. So I have to put on glasses to do it. And I know that sounds weird, but it makes it a whole different ordeal. And so I haven't done it yet.
I have
But we're getting there.
experience. I have experience putting little end connectors on an Ethernet cable. Had to do that for work once.
Yeah.
But I'm still.
What,
do you
I will
still
remember the mapping
buy...
that you used?
No, I don't. Also, my internet paused for a moment, so we have our typical lag right now.
Yes.
I don't know what's going
noticed
on.
that as well.
The Wi-Fi here at the theater isn't working. The internet is. I mean, the internet it just paused for a moment, but it's still on. If Steven ever listens to this, but the Wi-Fi is not working, and I can't. I mean, I could probably just like go and power cycle the router that we have up there. But I'm constantly using the internet, so there's never like a good. It also like it wants me to update its firmware or something. So again, I'm afraid to do anything. Do anything with it.
Just in general.
Just
I
in
live
case.
in fear myself.
Yeah, we have this
Hey,
Synology thing.
I'm going to try this. Even though it may not work, I'm going to try disconnecting and reconnecting because the lag is very long.
Okay.
I don't know if you know how long it is, but it's very long.
We could probably figure
right
that
back.
out. All right, and while he's doing that, I'm going to read a text that I was sent. Yeah. The internet here is great, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's just an infrastructure issue inside the building that I can deal with. I just haven't had a chance to deal with it yet.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, Paul.
So that seems a little bit better.
Yep. Until my internet takes a breather again, in which case we'll have to do it all over again.
Absolutely. So you and I haven't talked in a while because there was a Thanksgiving.
There was a Thanksgiving, yes. How was your Thanksgiving, Paul?
I had a great Thanksgiving. Went to Trenton House, which is a restaurant in Trenton, Illinois, which is near where I live, maybe about a half hour away.
Okay.
And I had a fish thing. But the fish thing came with a side, and I got sweet potato fries. And they were the best sweet potato fries I've ever had in my entire life. And I said to
that's
Jennifer,
saying something.
I actually like these. And she's like, you always get sweet potato fries. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't realize that I didn't. I didn't realize that I didn't. I get them because they're the more healthy option usually.
Right.
but I didn't realize that I didn't like them until I had these, and now I'm like, oh, I'm mad at all those other sweet potato fries. Let
Actively
me
angry.
describe them to you. You know Pad CU, right? You're familiar with Pad CU?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
imagine they're about the size of a Pad CU noodle, right?
Okay.
They're crinkle cut, so they're flat, but they're also crinkly, if that makes sense. And they have a crunch to them. You bite into them, and they're crunchy. So tasty. I couldn't believe it.
You got some
And
to
then
go.
I ordered the cherry pie, and they said, "Oh, we don't have cherry pie. We have coconut cream pie." I was like, "Oh, well, very well. I will take the coconut cream pie." And then they brought me cherry pie, and I was all set to eat the coconut cream pie. So I was like, "Oh, thank you," because they gave me what I ordered, and it was good. Fine. And there's that Twin Peaks angle as well, of course, where I enjoy it. But I still felt as though I could have eaten the coconut cream pie and been very happy with it. So, all in all, a good Thanksgiving. But the old pie switcheroo threw me for a loop, Ben. That's what I'd say. How was yours?
I can imagine. It was good. It was at my sister's place in Mill Creek. It was actually the first Thanksgiving with the extended family that we've had. So it was actually the first time that I've seen some people in 4 years, which was a trip. It was a pretty busy household. There are no children in my family anymore. Well, that's not true, but the one person in my family who was under 10 was not feeling well, and so she and her parents stayed home while the rest of that family came. So we, instead of having a kids table, we had the under 30 table. So like all the over 30s were sitting like in the main dining room, and the under 30s, of which there were 4, were sitting in the the kitchen table, which is the reason we didn't move it is because it was too heavy to move, and there wasn't enough room in the dining room to like position it anywhere. So it was fine.
It's interesting. When you said the under 30s, this is just how I think of us, Ben. I assumed that you were at the under 30 table. Even though I'm 50 years old, I'm still like, so young guys like us, Ben. That's where you belong.
I mean, I was the next in line. Don't get me wrong. I was.
Yeah. I heard some people say that instead of a kids table, they had a Democrats table. And I'm like, that's a good reason for me not to even show up.
Yeah.
But as you can see, Ben, the mutton chops have grown in. There are 2 ways to think about mutton chops. I just realized, and one is that it's a beard that's missing this part right here, but the other one is that it's a crazy extended mustache. That's how I'm.
It's a very big mustache you have.
Yeah. And I feel like I said to Jennifer, yeah, I wonder what I'm doing here. And if I'm here, then who's guarding the door to the Emerald City? I ask you.
Exactly.
Because I look like
It's a horse of a different color.
Hey, you can't come in here like that. It's just great. I love it.
You gotta come in here like this.
Hey, exactly. Ben and I have a joke that we did that we got to because we were imitating John McKenna, famous, which is Ben. If you'll do the honors, hold it right there.
All right, now
hold it over here.
Hold it over here.
Yeah,
that's the ticket.
It's so good, so good. I love it every time that I think about it. But yeah, so it was all right. It was just me, Betty, and Jennifer. Ooh, and then I had a extended weekend, right? I took Friday off, So we had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I think
Yeah.
it was on Saturday we went to Dairy King.
Dairy King.
Yes, it is a fast food place. I had a hot monkey Elvis Sunday, which was
Hot
bananas, marshmallow.
Monkey Elvis. Oh, right, because of
Yeah,
Elvis Presley's famous
yeah,
peanut butter banana sandwiches. Is that it?
exactly. Yeah, banana, peanut butter, marshmallow cream, and hard shell. I don't know why. That's the hot monkey Elvis, but it is, and it was good. And then I had a little kind of beef sandwich thing, and all of that was good as well. The only thing that we weren't like too thrilled about were the cheese sticks, but the cheese sticks were okay. Mozzarella cheese sticks, Ben, uh, are not great when they are not hot, right? When they're kind of warm, they're
Yeah.
not as good. My favorite type of mozzarella cheese stick is a battered mozzarella cheese stick as opposed to a there are two types of batter, I suppose. There's the kind of cornmealy kind of, you know, crusted on, and then there's uh the like chicken McNugget, uh Long John Silver's fish kind of sort of solid batter. I don't know how else to call it. That's the
I
kind
mean, at the end of
kind
the
that I like.
day, you're still just eating fried cheese.
Yes. At the
I've
end of the day, you're still just eating fried cheese. Is
a
wonderful, man.
memoir
Go
by
ahead.
Paul Goody.
Yeah.
No, I don't know why mozzarella cheese sticks made me think of corn dogs. But I remember, I can't remember where I was. It might have been like at the Puyallup Fair. I got a corn dog. And this was the last corn dog I've ever eaten. Because the batter was
Ooh.
not cooked all the way through. And so
Yeah.
when you bit into it, the batter was still like somewhat liquidy.
Yeah. You got squirted by a corn dog, Ben.
Never
Not
again.
great.
Although I was thinking, have you seen these hot dogs that have
Have
a
you?
tube of cheese through the middle? Have you seen these?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ben, these
A
are
co-
these are
A corn
famous.
dog with one of those hot dogs with the cheese tube in it. That might be. I mean, that's a party in
yeah.
your mouth, right?
You're making yourself a little you're being fancy in the most trash way possible.
You
It's
don't want
wonderful.
to sustain on one of those things, but an occasional
Yeah.
treat.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I'm looking for an experience, not a habit, is what I would say every once in a while when I was eating something that I shouldn't have.
Right.
Which, by the way, I've gotten a little bit more free with my diet, and here's what happened. I was at this. Did I tell you about the High Point already? Yes, we talked about the High Point. It's a burger place out of St.
what-
Louis, famous.
Your diet for our listeners, your diet was or is what?
I was staying away from red meat.
Right, trans fats.
Eating,
That's right.
Yeah, eating low saturated fats, low and saturated fat,
Okay.
trans fat as well, and not a lot of sugary drinks. Those were the pretty simple rules to stick by.
Yeah.
But I have been going outside of that just a little bit every once in a while, and the reason is because I am having an experience. I'm here. We talked about this. What if the Pringles guy is God? And at the end of your life here, the Pringles guy, like his face rises up from the horizon, and he says, "How are the Pringles?" And if I go, "Well, I had a couple, and then I stopped because they were high in saturated fat," what's going to happen? well, I guess you'll have to go back down to Earth again.
Eat more Pringles.
Eat more Pringles. Okay, this is a weird. And one of the things, what was it? Alan Watts, I think, was the guy who said this. That if you could dream up whatever you wanted, right? You could have anything you want, right?
Yeah.
All your dreams would come true first, right? And you would be, it would be easy mode for like a video game, right? You would be able to do whatever you wanted to and all that. And so you might want more of a challenge. So you might want to limit your powers so you're less omnipotent, and you might want to have more challenges in your life as well. Not everything goes your way. You have to deal with obstacles and stuff like that. So life becomes kind of harder, right? And you try different things. Well, what if this happened? What if this happened? And then he said, and eventually what you might do is come up with a game that's like what life is like for you right now. That because we can't do everything, because we're weaker, in some ways, because we don't know every single language, because stuff needs to be figured out. We're actually playing the game. We're not on easy mode. We're better at life than we would be if we got everything that we wanted, which I think is kind of interesting. I like that as a way to think about things.
I mean, that's kind of why people say that actors who became stars as a child, they seem a bit divorced from reality.
Yep.
Because they never had to go through the process of growing up and making mistakes and getting things wrong and having hardships, because they lived life essentially on easy mode.
Exactly. And I'll say, of course, if you are a child actor or you were famous as a child, I'm sure that you did not have an easy life in some ways. I'm sure there are some things that were probably much more difficult for you than for me.
But
I still agree with Ben's premise.
There's different challenges, right? Like having your... you hear some horror stories about like the kid who played young Anakin Skywalker in the first prequel of Star Wars. How basically he gave up acting, and I think because of just the fan backlash of him, Jake Lloyd, and and how that can actually like how that sort of public persona and public scrutiny can completely mess with a person at a very young age.
See, now you can see that I've matured, because I was, for the sake of comedy, going to make a disparaging remark about Mr. Lloyd. But I wouldn't have meant it. I would have said it as a joke. But because I am a stranger that he doesn't know, if he were to ever listen to this podcast, which I know he won't, but still, I would just be piling on at that point. And it's not. I've learned that for many people, piling on is not funny.
Yeah.
So world
going for the
different.
Easy joke or the easy laugh.
Yeah. I mean, that was what they taught me way back when I was learning improvisational stuff. You don't censor yourself. You go for what's funny, and you don't care about the consequences. As I get older, I realize consequences they're not good.
Consequences
so
matter.
If you can think a little bit more and say something that is more clever or even just nice, like have one joke and three nice things. Isn't that still okay? When did it become that you couldn't say anything nice to anyone?
It's this woke culture that's really...
You can't say anything nice anymore
me.
Because of wokeness. Isn't that crazy? Wouldn't that be strange? I think we talked about this already, but Erykah Badu, right? Was asked about woke because she might have coined the term in one of her songs. "I Stay Woke" is one of the lyrics.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So It's strange. I think we've talked about this before, but politically correct, right? Its
Yeah.
meaning got warped a little bit. At one point in time, the politically correct answer, the concept behind it was the answer that you gave so that you wouldn't hurt your political chances for something, right? And eventually it became just caring about people and how that was bad. The same thing with being woke, same sort of concept. Um, and because what happened was woke was in quotes at one point in time uh, to describe a certain type of person who was pretending like they cared about people but really didn't. And then all of a sudden it became just caring about people is bad,
And
which
now
is
it's a
crazy.
buzzword for the right, who many times can't explain what it means.
Yep, yep. I will say, this is an interesting thing, and maybe it's because I've been in the Midwest for so long, whatever. But I listened to Dennis Miller and Norm Macdonald talking to one another,
Yeah.
and didn't have a problem. I was like, these guys are friends, and they're talking, and this none of this is bothering me. There was
Because they
another thing
weren't
that I
they weren't talking politics, I'm assuming.
Well, I guess they weren't. There's one extended riff that Norm Macdonald did about how teachers aren't really heroes,
Okay.
which could be seen as political and sort of right wing and stuff like that.
Especially in this pro teacher world that we live in.
But I appreciated the format, even if I didn't necessarily agree with the final premise. And his
Yeah.
deal was that people who are heroes normally don't say that they're heroes. They say the real heroes are the teachers.
Right.
And then he said something like, "Oh, the guy who planted the flag in Iwo Jima, maybe a hero. I don't know, but grading math, and that sort of thing. I could see how that could be." So the big thing was that there was a teacher in the audience at the time, and she called him the R word,
The teacher said that.
and he pointed out that maybe that was strange coming from a teacher of children as an insult.
How long ago was this conversation recorded? Like, what are we talking about?
Oh,
The
who
early
knows?
2000s?
It was one of those things
The
of a
1990s?
thing on Reddit that was just a still photograph of Norm Macdonald and then the audio from some stand-up that happened at some time. On other news, I've been listening to Reddit again, or scrolling through
Listening?
it, and well, lots of the things I listen to on Reddit are audio, with a picture of a ghost, an audio of somebody talking about a ghost,
Ooh.
or yeah, exactly.
If
Maybe the
you're on
ghosts just
Reddit,
don't like what we're doing.
then you'll know the latest news. Who died this week, Paul Goody?
Okay, so are we? Let's see. When did and I know this isn't who you're talking about, but when did the first lady from the Carter administration, whose first name I don't remember,
I know it, but I'm
because
gonna make you guess it.
I want to say it's something like, is it Rosalind?
Rosalind, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I wasn't sure if Rosalind Carter or if it was Rosalind Carter Cash or if it was so Rosalind Carter died. I don't know if it was this week. I believe who you're talking about is Henry Kissinger.
Died just yesterday at age 100.
Really? He made it to 100.
Made it to 100, much like when Pat Robertson passed away. My social media feed was full of people celebrating Henry Kissinger's death.
Yes. Many people saying, I'm going to go out and get Cambodian food tonight, which I understand. I will say that and I think I've mentioned this to you before, you and I have talked about this. There were some Cambodian monks that lived in Seattle near me back when I was living in South Park, who a couple of them that I was talking to, a few of them had like dents in their skulls, like and scarring where stuff wouldn't grow back. And I was like, I wonder where that's from. And it was pointed out to me that there uh, is some fighting that happens in Cambodia. And in Cambodia, civilians sometimes get injured in
Yeah.
battles and stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I did not hang out with the monks as much once Jennifer and Betty came back. But yeah, they were in a car accident, and some guy was trying to get them to pay him money, and just sort of was telling them that they were in trouble and stuff. And I came over and was like, I negotiated them exchanging insurance information and kept him from yelling at them. And so they invited me to where they were at, and I got fed by them.
You're talking about the
Uh,
Cambodian monks. I
yeah.
thought you were talking about
Yep.
Jennifer and Betty at one point.
Oh no, no, sorry. And the one thing I did notice, there were cockroaches in their place where they were living.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them running around. And I was like, why don't they kill the? And I was like, oh, well, maybe
They're monks.
being
Live and
monks,
let live.
yeah, they actually don't think that's cool. And then the other thing that was interesting is that Betty, they couldn't touch Betty because she was a woman, and so she would run after them, laughing.
Oh, God.
Because they'd have to run away from her. And then
Yep.
Jennifer pointed out that maybe, just maybe, hanging around folks who, thought that Betty wasn't, someone that we want to touch because she's a woman wasn't the coolest.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Betty ran through a couple of ideas of different names. And like
Different names for her.
different names, yeah, different names. And one of them was Eddie, which I thought was good. That's like, you just take the B out. But yeah, and then Jennifer was like, or you could just say Betty, which is still a thing. But I ran it. I went through the entire thing, the same exact thing. I think. Did you ever? This is what I was going to ask you. Did you ever go through a thing where you were thinking about maybe changing your name?
No.
Huh.
Never did. Never thought
Yeah.
about it.
One of the names I was going to change my name to was Otto Muscat. I thought that was a crazy
Muscat.
name. Yeah. Don't ask me how I came up with it. I don't remember, but I did some math apparently. And then also you will of course remember Baron von Happy Pants.
Right. I believe that was from your Canadian years?
Yep, exactly. Happy Pants would have been HAPIPANZ, Happy Pants.
Yep.
And it still would have been great. Would have been good. And then for a little bit, wanted to be Paul Pratt. Was thinking about when we did that would be. I still think Paul
Right.
Pratt would be a good name.
The double P.
But Jennifer, rightly. What I was thinking about doing is changing my middle name to Michael Goody, so it would be Paul Michael Goody Pratt, PMP. But we went with the hyphen for our thing instead. And who knows? I'm pretty well established now as who I am.
People know who you are.
But it is a name that I didn't choose, and there is always that bit of it. Many of us didn't choose our names, but the ones who do get to choose their names sometimes have a good time with it.
Yeah.
You know, because
I
they
don't
pick
know.
a name that fits.
I've never not liked my name, but there have been points where I thought, well, maybe having this other name would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I've never thought about that so far to think, why don't I change my own name?
I mean, for
Uh,
me, it's one of those things where it gets mispronounced sometimes. You know, it gets misspelled
Paul?
sometimes. That sort of thing. Yeah. Uh, oh, hey, speaking of nothing that we were talking about, uh, TV. TV's come back in a big way right now, Ben. What are you watching anything?
I am. I am all caught up on season 5 of Fargo.
Yes.
The
And
third
have you been
episode
watching?
dropped yesterday on Hulu.
Yep.
The only
Pretty
other TV
exciting.
the
I
only
think.
other the only other TV show I'm watching right now is Loki season 2. Even though it's been out for a while, I haven't seen it yet, so I'm watching that.
Yeah, how's that going?
Yeah, I like it.
I haven't seen
And
it.
I think also one of the other reasons why I'm watching it is because it got really good buzz. I'm kind of done with I don't want to say a blanket, I'm done with superhero movies and TV shows and Marvel specifically. But I'm tired of having to watch so many different things just to keep up.
You know what's
There was-
crazy, Ben?
What's crazy, Ben?
Well, actually, you were Ben Lawrence. For people who don't know, was on a comic book podcast for a while, so you'll
Yeah.
know this. That's exactly what the model was for their comic books as well.
Right.
You were reading a comic and you wouldn't know what was happening in it because you hadn't read, this
Right.
other series that had the crossover and stuff. So I totally
Yeah.
feel it. I'm gonna have to, whenever the Fantastic Four stuff comes out, I'm gonna have to
If
do
that
it.
happens, yeah. And I'll
Oh,
if
it
Pedro
will happen.
Pascal
There's a director.
if he when his Fantastic Four movie comes out, then I'll watch it. But I mean, if I have to watch every single MCU TV show up until that point
Yeah.
to like understand what's going on, the Marvels came out and didn't do well for Marvel standards, right?
Yeah.
And by Marvel standards is we make billion-dollar grossing movies. So the Marvels came out and it did okay, and a lot of like misogynistic jerks are like, oh, it's because it's all full of women. But it's also like you need to have watched a dozen movies and like 2 different TV shows to be current on what actually is going on.
Yeah.
And so I think
And I haven't in
either.
general.
I tried to, but then I'm like, I'm spending my entire TV watching time budget on Marvel. I want to watch other things like Fargo. I want to watch other things like Good Omens, which I finished season 2 of.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Hey, John Hamm in both.
Yeah, John Hamm naked in both.
Hey, that's a good point. So here's what I'll say. I am watching. Besides that, I'm watching Murder at the End of the World, which is the new show from the people that brought you the OA.
Yeah, which I never
Um,
saw.
Oh, it was good. I liked it anyway. And then I also have been watching Slow Horses. The new episode of Slow Horses is out, Ben. Or the newer episodes. Are you familiar with Slow Horses?
I am not, as a matter of fact.
It is on Apple TV. It is spycraft.
Where TV
stuff.
stars go to hide, says John Oliver.
Oh wow, that's interesting. 'Cause
Because
I
his
loved it.
point being that there are so many good shows on Apple TV, so many stars on
Yeah.
Apple TV, but nobody sees them.
Oh yeah. I really enjoy Slow Horses. It's
Like there's
Gary
a lot
Oldman's
of
in it.
there's a lot of TV shows on Apple TV that I want to watch. Silo, I think, is one of them. But the new season of For All Mankind is airing, and I'm up to season 3 on that. Season 4 is airing, so I should check that out.
Yeah, I have not watched enough of For All Mankind. I did watch it, some of it, and then I stopped. Here's the thing, Ben. I think I've mentioned this to you before. I can only watch so much space stuff before I start getting sad at the state of our space program.
I know that's so. For All Mankind might be super depressing because it is an Elseworld what if fictional historical fiction TV show.
Again, I read that book, The Case for Mars, where it's talking about how we could have gone to Mars at a certain time, and it's being written at a time that is like, but now we can really do it, and it's been written like 20 years ago. I do like the idea of going to Venus instead of Mars. I think that that's a really interesting idea.
Venus, where astronauts go to die.
Yeah, the idea being, I think that you know about this already. What they're talking about doing is not just traveling to Venus, but also terraforming it.
I remember being
find very interesting.
I remember being a kid, and I honestly can't remember if it was a book or a TV show that I watched or a book that I read. But the point was, like, Venus's atmosphere is so dense with carbon dioxide that the plan to terraform it would be to, like, start, shooting down all of these plants essentially, or some other way to cycle the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and into oxygen. And the point was like, and I don't remember the exact number, but it was like, and after 350 years, it will be livable.
Yeah, and this is my point. Okay, 350 years, might as well do it. I mean, that's a blink of an eye in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
If we had done it, well, we talked about this before. How remember when I was in my 20s and I said to you, I'm going to start learn. I thought that I was too young to learn how to play piano, but if I would have started when I thought I was too young, I would have been playing piano for 10 years.
Yeah.
That was 30 years ago, basically, when I had that thought, and not playing the piano. So I am playing the ukulele though, as we know. I was thinking about maybe the violin.
You wanna learn another instrument?
Well, I'll explain. This is dumb, but I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I'm a bard. And your choices are lute, violin, drum, and flute. And I was like, oh, the violin is good. You can carry it around and stuff. And it's the closest thing to a ukulele, like size-wise. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to play a violin, I realized. What I want to play is a fiddle. Which, of course, are you familiar with the joke, Ben? What's the difference between a fiddle and a violin?
You take your shoes off to stomp on a violin?
Yeah. No, you can't spill beer on a violin. Is the joke? But
you can't spill beer on a violin. That's saying what is that? I don't even get it. Is that saying all fiddle players are
fiddle players aren't as snooty as their violin counterparts. It's the same instrument, but the style, and of course I'm sure if you get into it, they aren't exactly the same instruments. But
I was actually referencing a joke I read online about banjos. What's the difference between a banjo and a trampoline? You take your shoes off to jump on a trampoline.
Yeah. That's good. And you reversed it. That's what I like about you, Ben. You and me, we both love the math of jokes.
The math of jokes.
Yeah. You find the pattern and you can tweak it. Yep. There's a what is it? Is it the Bernoulli principle, I think? I might have the wrong name, but the basic idea, it's a probability thing. And I don't even know if I can say it off the top of my head, but it's like if the probability of no, I can't do it, but it's a probability thing where you can
An
figure out
increase in the speed of a fluid occurs simultaneously with the decrease in static pressure or the fluid's potential energy.
That's not it. That's not it. It's not the Bernoulli principle. It's some, but maybe it's something's theorem. Look up, if you will, look up probability theorem and see what comes up. If there's somebody's name and if it starts with a B.
Talking about Bayes' theorem?
Bayes' theorem. There we are. Yeah.
Which says...
Can you just read out what the equation is for it?
The probability of an event based on prior knowledge of conditions that may be related to the event. For example, if the risk of developing health problems is known to increase with age, Bayes' theorem allows the risks to an individual of a known age to be assessed more accurately by conditioning it relative to their age, rather than simply assuming that the individual is typical of the population as a whole.
Yeah. So one of the ways that it can be indicated, and I'm not gonna work it out here, but if you have 3 cards, right? One card is white on both sides, one card is black on both sides, and one card is white and black. White on one side, black on one side, right? Those 3 cards. And you have a card sitting in front of you with the white side up. What are the chances that you have the double white card? Have you heard that?
I probably have at some point. It sounds vaguely familiar.
It's 2/3 or 2 out of 3 chance, and the reason is, and you can logic it through with the with Bayes' theorem, and the basic idea is that because you know that one of the sides is white, right? You can use the fact that you know that at least one side is white, and you can flip it. So, like another example that somebody gave is, there are parents of 2 girls. No, sorry. Starting over. There are parents of 2 children. One of their children is a girl. What are the chances that they're both girls?
Yeah.
And the way that it normally works when you're doing this probability stuff is, okay, you know that one of them is a girl. So if one of them is a girl, what is the chance that both of them are girls, right? That's how you do the thing. But with Bayes' theorem, what you can do is you can switch terms around in a way so that you say, okay, if two of the children are girls, what's the chance that one of them is a girl? In that case, it's 100%, right?
Right. Yeah.
So because of Bayes' theorem, because you can do that with Bayes' theorem, you can switch things around like that. You can do some really interesting things with probability because you can swap sides and reduce fractions and stuff like that to get it more manageable.
There's a thing called the Monty Hall problem based on Let's Make a Deal, where you have 3 doors and Monty, the host, knows, like, you're looking for something behind a certain door, like door 1, 2, or 3. Monty Hall knows what door it is, and you have to guess. So you guess a door, and they open the door, and it's not there. Well, actually, no, wait. You guess a door, they open one of the other doors, and it's not there, right? So now you have 2 doors left, and he gives you the opportunity to switch your guess. Does that increase the probability that you are correct? So let's say you guessed door 3, they opened door 2, wrong door, right? So now you know your guess is either door 1 or door 3. And the probability that you're correct, amazingly, if you switch, goes up. Because
Yep.
at first you had a 33 to 30% chance of being correct. Now you have a 50% chance of being correct if you switch your guess.
Yep. And again, Bayes' theorem comes into play with the Monty Hall problem too. You can work it out and everything like that. But the big thing is that it's counterintuitive, right? Because people are like, well, it's still a it's still a third of a chance. I had a third of a chance. It's still a third of a chance. But the answer is now you don't. Now you've altered the rules. But I believe, the prior knowledge of that helps immensely. There are still people who don't believe it though, and you can argue with them about it, and it's really crazy. Why would you argue with them? It's really crazy to argue with them, Ben, is what I'm saying. But I love probability. I don't understand it as much as I would like to.
What are the chances?
What are the chances? Do you remember that story? We talked about
what
this?
story? What story is that?
Okay, so Kevin Pollak, right?
Yeah.
Is in one of my favorite miniseries called The Lost Room.
Okay.
And he was in it with an actor who is not the guy who played Saeed on Lost, but who slightly resembles the guy who played Saeed on Lost.
Okay.
Kevin Pollak is in an airport. He sees the guy who played Saeed on Lost, and he runs up to him and he says, "What are the chances?" Meaning, what are the chances that you and I, who are in the Lost Room together, would be at the same airport? But, in fact, all that happened was, for the guy who played Saeed on Lost, is Kevin Pollak just ran up to him, yelled, "What are the chances?" and then left. Which led me to two things.
Nobody will
One,
ever believe you.
If I ever run into the guy who played Saeed on Lost, who I believe is it Naveed Andrews? Is that his name?
I never watched it.
I gotta look it up. I can't leave the podcast.
But we're almost
with
it's 5 o'clock. You're gonna pause the show to look something up when we have to sign off.
Yes, it's Naveed.
Oh God.
Naveed
Diggs.
Lost. No.
Oh, it's David.
Naveen Andrews.
Naveen Andrews, come on down.
Yeah, and
this is your
now,
Price is Right.
That's the name of the guy who he said what are the chances to. Now let's find out. The Lost Room. Then here we go. It's going to be great.
Not
Let's
Lost,
do it.
but The Lost Room.
The Lost Room. Interesting that I didn't even clock that there were two different things. So the guy's name is. Here we go. Thank you, Ben, for the drum roll. This is helping. His name is.
That's not going to be annoying at all.
Jason Antoon, who played a character known as the Sood.
The Sood.
Anyway, so
and with that,
if I were ever to run to Naveen Andrews, I would say to him, "What are the chances?"
What are the chances?
And if I ever run into Kevin Pollak, I will also say, "What are the chances?" That's what you got to do. But even more so, Ben, if I ever run into Jason Antoon, I will say to him, "What are the chances?" To bring it full circle.
And if I ever run into you in an airport, I'm going to say, "Keep it wrong."
If I run into you in an airport, Ben, I'm going to say, "How's it happening?"
How's it
How's
happening?
it happening? Keep it wrong, and
Keep it
then
wrong.
I will talk to you
Talk to you
next week.
next week on the GudeLaurance
All right.
podcast.
Yep. I'll see you, Ben.
Bye.
Talk